Everyone, how you're doing? If you're watching live, it's another morning. Let me just move my desk. I hope you're all well. Hopefully you can all hear me. And we'll do some more drawing. Hope you had a nice week doing some artwork. And we're going to do some warm-up drawings and then do a couple of character drawings if we can. Hope you're all well. Now I've got a little bit of a sore back, so I'm going to keep fidgeting around. Bear with me as I draw today. Let me just check what brush I've got going on. That's fine. But I hope you guys are all well. If you're watching later on, awesome. Some of you seem to watch this later on. I think this is... Well, I don't think. This is probably going to be the last one I do of these for the moment because we are just pausing in the studio. We've been lucky enough to be fairly busy, but our work is now pausing. So we're going to pause, take a breath and think about what we're doing. So I hope you've enjoyed these. I probably won't be doing one next week. And we're just going to figure out what our next plan is. So if you come here at 9:30 next week, I might not be here. Just so you know, be pre-warned. I haven't done any warm-ups whatsoever. Let me just do this. Whoops. So I'm really quickly going to do that hand I did last week because I haven't really tested my brush or anything. So if you were with me last week, I did this triangle, and I said I quite often do this, and it's true, I do. So I'm going to draw this triangle. I'm going to do exactly what I did last week, just to kind of warm up my brain and my hand, get them talking to each other. And I'm going to drop my finger. Now when I'm drawing this, I'm looking at my hand. So let me go up to camera. Ooh. I'm pulling this kind of hand position. So this is the triangle I'm drawing. So I'm actually drawing my own hand, but I've drawn this position obviously a million times, so I'd be lying if I didn't say I go into autopilot slightly. But I just want to feel what my digital brush is doing, because sometimes I do different things and the settings are slightly changed. And just get my brain and my hand talking, get in gear. So I draw my triangle, I drop my finger in, I'm just drawing this rounded section on the hand that I think is really important. I might want to suggest this knuckle, I might do that with a circle, and I'm going to come around and draw the end of that fingertip and draw that nail in. Alright, I might suggest that knuckle. From here, imagine this line coming across, don't draw it coming across, but that's where the arm kind of comes down. Alright, need a slightly bigger eraser. I had a funny brush going. I was doing one of these yesterday, I had a funny eraser, so we'll find out when I draw today if my eraser feels a bit weird. I'm going to drop in another finger flat at the top, underneath, so fingers, I'm sure I've done this with you before. People always draw finger ends like this, like as a default. That's not a good idea. If you draw like that, it's the top or the bottom of the finger, if that makes sense, that curve. If you draw a flat top and a curved bottom, that tells me it's the side of a finger. Yeah, like a nail sat there. So if you thought about it three-dimensionally, if you're drawing a three-dimensional figure, it'd be something like that with the nail sat on the top plane. So the way you draw fingertips matters. Back to my brush. Probably on this one I would see another finger dropping in. Through there, it's fine, whatever. Just warming up at the moment. And I'll do one more. I'm just going to do a square. I'm kind of looking across the top of my hand. So I kind of got a square, the square top shape of my hand. And I'm going to drop on the top of that finger. I'm going to drop it away from me, just like a tube going away from me. And then that other finger. And then the next one, next one, next one. Just get that mark making going. And let's get that thumb coming out, round it like a tube, build a bit of shape for the back of the hand. I'm going to draw the top of the thumb, the nail kind of area, and then the curve. Alright, and that's it. I might round it here and I'll build that arm. And I think I drew exactly the same hand like drawing last week, which is Wouldn't surprise me. Okay, it's just me warming up. But now you know what I do first thing. Cool. How big did I draw those? They don't really need to be that big. Let me just do this. Suppose I'll keep them there. So here we are. So I am ready to probably do some actual figure drawing. Let's see where it goes. I managed very quickly. I was in a bit of a rush this morning. Pull up some figure drawings. I've got this from last week. Now we drew, I think we drew that one last week. Let's draw this side on one. Let's just warm straight up and get into this side one. Don't think I drew that last week. I am going to think about the neck coming in diagonal, the spine up through here. Often with the side view, say this is the side view, it's kind of 3/4, but it's easier for most people to draw these ovals in. So I'm building that rib cage, really simple shape, trying to make drawing simple, and then at a different diagonal motion I'm drawing the lower torso, and often I'll talk about a pear shape. What I'm doing is kind of building the lower torso and the hips. So ideally most people are about equal lengths in the upper and the lower torso. What's also important is I've drawn that angle then that angle in here. Too many people will too quickly draw a figure in the torso straight, and she's got a nice tuck. That's what we're trying to create in there, like a little bit of squash in here and a push back. So we're going to build that up. I'm going to get my razor and just going to get my, I told you my settings are a bit weird. I'm just going to lighten that a bit, and I would do the same with a pencil. I know I'm doing this digitally, but I would often draw and then rub out most of my drawing. If I wanted to get my proportions right, I would probably stick man in these legs. And what I'm doing now is I'm aware of this length, and I'm aware of this length, and I'll probably want about a similar length to the knee, similar length again to the ankle. What I have tried to do there is put a little bit of a diagonal motion so the foot in the end is above where the head's going to go, so that's a little bit diagonal there. Does that make sense? It's not vertical. So the rhythm of that drawing is a bit like that. Does that make sense? That's the gesture. If I had a nice brush, if I was drawing a nice soft B, I could do a nice soft 6B or something. I could do a nice gesture. I've got a foot in here. It's actually turning away slightly, so something like that. Little triangle shape. Let's just pull in here. I'm just going to go into the shoulder, and I'm going to build that shoulder in. It feels like something I can work up from. It's kind of the deltoid. Something like that. And I'm just going to pull in that upper arm, just that tube, and I'm going to pull in this lower arm, and I'm already, as default, I'm putting a bit of shape on that. So what I've done is I'm very slightly wider here than here. So if you're new to drawing with me, that lower arm, most people would draw it to start with just as a tube. In reality, the muscle is kind of wider in here. So sometimes people do a straight line and a curved line, but don't do a curve all the way down. You know, you're trying to keep that muscle in the top half of the arm. I haven't totally drawn this one, but that's what you're looking towards. I hope that makes sense. Anyway, just trying to explain what I've done, why I've done it, if that helps. Something like this. Don't be afraid of the hand. Straight away we could drop that in. That is a square. The flat base of the hand. I say a square, I'm always... I tend to come slightly wider at the knuckle. And I could break out a little finger, not a little finger, break out a finger and just drop the other ones in, something like that. And that's all I'm going to do at the moment. So I'm going to then tuck back through this spine, and then we're going to come back down towards the sacrum and roll back into that buttock. And we're going to try and show a bit more of the back. So if you imagine that trapezius rolling up into the neck, what we're going to do is try and show a little bit more of the back of the figure, so the other side of that shoulder blade, and it rolling in. And then I'm going to get our little squash. And what I've tried to do in this drawing is draw a drop, so it's diagonal in the buttock, and then for that reason diagonal across the sacrum and across the hip. So even if we were to try and get this diagonal motion in, you got the hip in there, and what I'm trying to do is make sure this buttock is lower down there. To help with that, what I'm probably going to do is draw this buttock muscle this way. Proko does an amazing thing on buttock muscles. So I'm sure you all know Proko if you draw online. His anatomy class is mind-blowing. I love what he does. So I'm sure you're aware of him. Check him out. If you want to know about anatomy, buy a master. Go and see what Proko's doing. And a little trick like that is a Proko. Just learning from Proko. I'm trying to lift that muscle. And then this one's more relaxed, because I'm going to drop this leg. So I'm just going to put in some basic shapes for these legs. So it's slightly wider at the top, slightly triangular. I'm going to suggest the knee at the moment, give myself a shin, and then come into that calf, stopping it about halfway and then drawing down that lower leg. Let's see where it goes. This leg, imagine it's full thickness, so the knee pops out and then it drops back. Ooh, interesting. Wasn't quite what I planned. Click. And then I've got this leg dropping out. I'm trying to make sure it stays thick enough as well as well. I don't love the way it connected straight into that calf muscle. It's not like bad drawing really, but if that's where it actually connects, it's just you're trying to avoid like lines like that coming straight in there, because it kind of becomes ugly drawing. Ankle bone, and there's a toe in there properly, something a bit like that. So I'm just going to create a little bit more shape in this. I'm going to straighten that and then build that muscle a bit more. I've decided I need the muscle on that side. I'm going to build some front. I've got the pectoral muscle, so a little curve from the pectoral muscle, and then I'm going to show the bust and the side of the bust doing this. And then I'm going to show down the front of the rib cage, and then a little change of direction. Hypothetically it's a slight model, and we're just changing there, and then coming into the front of the hip. Something like that. That would do. Alright. I'm just going to put an elbow on there. Something like that. That's it. A little bit of shape on this leg. If I want to show we're looking at the back of that leg a little bit more, I could draw the back of that calf muscle. Something like that. Right, let's get this head in. We're just going to use some basic constructional shapes. We need the neck dropping in, neck's going to pull up diagonally. And I'm just going to build the back of the skull slightly stylized. About halfway I'm going to give the bridge of the eyebrow, about halfway for the nose, and the lips would be about halfway. I feel like I need a little bit more. Whoopsie. And the lower lip as a generic is slightly further back. Ooh, still make sure I've got a chin. I'm going to round up. Make sure the ear is right back on that jawline. I'm going to come across from the eyebrow bridge that I drew, and I'm just going to close the eye for ease, and I'm going to drop that hair back from the top. Just give a little bit more volume to the ear and just use these lines to tuck this back. So we're nearly done with this, and then finally we're just going to draw a deltoid, and we're going to just finish off and suggest this arm tucking back here, not worrying too much. It's a warm up, it's in the right direction. My head might be a little large. Hey, it's a warm up. Cool, something like that. Okay, cool. First little drawing. Just going to have a slurp and drink. I'm not sure many people are with me this morning, if anyone. If you do watch this later on, and you're logged in, give me a thumbs up. That means I know kind of people have watched it, which is nice. Or if you've enjoyed what we've been doing over the last few weeks, thumbs up's always nice. So, got a couple of drawings here. It's only drawing for myself today, not many people with us. Let's draw this one, I quite like that one. I don't think I've drawn this one before with you guys. It wouldn't be the end of the world if we had. It's a similar pose really, and she's obviously bending over, but it's completely a side view, but that's fine. So just want to keep the nice dynamics there. Let's build this rib cage. So bear with me while I'm a little bit smaller on the screen. She's leaning over. And I've got the lower torso. I'm just bending a little bit between the two torso blocks. Cool, we're gonna have a buttock in there somewhere. Get a bit more mass on there because you got a leg coming out. And it actually seems to come out and cross back over, and then this back leg wants to do a kind of cool gesture thing. Now, I'm always looking to get it as much lean and dynamics, just something I'm trying to do in my drawing, so I'm going to get a little bit more lean in that. So I'm not too upright. Really scrappy, look how scrappy I drew that. The professional artist screaming at me. Going, what are you doing? Don't teach people that. Far too many lines. Hey ho. And then I get my rubber and I rub off the drawing out. Digga 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 dig. Need something to build on. So that's what I'm going to build on. Right, let's build up from there. Let's have fun with that hip. Hip's coming right up in here. Remember, I sometimes use a pear shape. If that helps, great. It's going to help me build the back of that buttock. It's going to come down through here and something like that. That's like the shape I build sometimes. And what I'm looking at there is the sacrum kind of in there. Something like this. Alright. I'm going to pull down now from that hip down into that leg. Get a little bit of shape. Got a little bit of roundness from the buttock. And I'm going to come down into this leg in here. If you're looking for more shape, you could be thinking about the gluteus maximus. Okay, so the hollow in there. It's not essential, but just something if you're thinking about it. I'd have the other side of the hip here. See that sacrum and then the buttock rolling around. And maybe I could be lifting the muscle on that side. Cool. I'm going to pull some length off the top here. I'm just going to get very long in that torso. We'll see. We've got a shoulder up here, deltoid. We're going to build it and then build that forearm. Upper arm maybe? Forearm is here. Nice, I'm drawing a little curved line there and enjoying the way this curves away, and it's thin and then that curve there, so I'm naturally drawing that muscle in. I exaggerated a bit in exploration. Hand, square, but slightly wider at the knuckles, which means it's triangular, I guess. Finger, mitten. If that helps, great. Really simple little shapes. Oh, we'll stay at that. We'll stay at that size if that's okay. Brush. I'm going to get a slightly smaller brush. Use some of this out. And what I'm going to do is from that arm, I'm going to pull down into the lats at the back. That sits there. Stretching forward, we've got the pectoral muscle and then the bust. Gravity is pulling this straight down. Fairly petite in the bust. You're seeing the front of the rib and then it come up, so she's just quite a slight model. It's probably a model from one of Proco's character packs as well, if people are interested. On his website, you can actually buy model packs. They're good. Check them out. Stomach. So I'm going to create a little bit of stomach shape down here that you've seen some of us from off. Fab, something like that. Cool. The spine actually sits down there. I'm just going to suggest it there. Helps with the rotation. The shoulder blades up in here. You might see a little bit of suggestion of it on the other side, I guess. Something like that. And I'm just going to pull that neck up. And we're going to suggest a head. Really simple shapes for now, like this. And I'm going to just show the back of the skull. Really similar shape construction to what I did before. Let me pull out. The reason I'll pull out, same as pulling away from a drawing, is just checking. It's just checking its scale. So similar to the last drawing, I'm going to come down about halfway, give me the bridge of the eyebrow. I'm going to put the nose in, which takes me about halfway from the eyebrow to the bottom of the head. I'm going to put the top lip in. Suggest the lower lip a little bit further back, it's the default head, and then roll back to that jaw. Too many lines there, it's making that not particularly a pretty drawing. So I'm just trying to neaten that up. Ear is right back on that jaw. And then across from the eyebrow, from that bridge I drew, and I just close the eye quickly, and I'm just going to pull some hair back, get a little bit of volume in there, and we'll just put a ponytail on this one. Just drawing. I'm not going to do any more than that. I'm not trying to draw a whole dedicated portrait, I'm just drawing like warm-up character studies. Right, on the other shoulder, she actually pulls that, she's pulling that forward. So I'm seeing a little bit of the deltoid, and then the upper arm dropping through here. You've got to make sure it feels like it could fall forward. I think I drew it better there somehow. And then you've got that upper arm, and then the forearm pulling out. And there's a hand in there. We could put a little kind of rectangle shape in. We could just suggest the fingers, and from this side, the thumb's going to sit on this side. I don't know what she's doing. Stop! Let's get this back leg in. So wider at the top, and then thinning down to the knee. And then we're going to put this cuff. Now we're seeing totally the back of this leg actually, so this is kind of cool. So because you're seeing the back of that calf curve up in here, it helps suggest it's the back. Give me that calf muscle. And then pull down into the ankle. Alright, the ankle bone. So I'm seeing the heel. I'm drawing like a triangular shape for the back of that heel, and I'm just going to suggest a little bit of the side of the foot like dropping out. Get a little bit of weight on my line. A little bit of weight on this, get a little bit more shape. I'm going to pull that now below the knee. If that makes sense, this curves up into something like that. In this one up here that we drew earlier, we're now going to suggest that knee a bit, and we're going to try and get that leg to bend away from us in foreshortened. So I'm going to roll here like I'm looking down a tube that way. I want to keep enough distance for the side of the leg, so I'm making sure that's nice and clean there, and showing how this, we're seeing some of the back, almost like the back plane of a calf muscle. So we'll do that and tighten that muscle, and then pull down. And then I'm going to show the top of that ankle bone, because we're going to look down a foot. And we're going to show the heel, ball at the bottom of the foot, and the big toe is going to be on that outside, so something like that as a suggestion. And probably that's it for the drawing. Sorry while I adjust my back a sec. Cool. Well, we ploughed through a couple of drawings. These two are a bit weird, but we could do one. If we do this one on the side, I haven't done a front view. Let's do this one on the right hand side. I'm going to come across the shoulders, diagonal. I'm going to build that up torso block, which you've seen me do lots of times in this video. Making sure this is parallel to this. That's what I'm thinking about. My lower torso block. And I'm thinking about that and that being parallel. Yeah, if I've drawn, there's a good chance I've drawn this pose, I'm not sure, in the last few weeks. And if we're going to get really dynamic, apparently this leg is shooting out here. Length, length. And then this is coming in and then twisting back somehow. Unusual pose, because that and that feel quite parallel. Quite often you would pull that leg out here to stabilize the weight. So to allow for that, we've got the head up here, the neck is following the spine motion there. And we've got a bit of balance coming out there. I think I see it, but you're trying to make sure there's not too much weight on this side. Otherwise you're going to fall over. So you're trying to get the weight in here. That's how you stop them falling over. Right, we'll zoom in a bit. There it is. Doesn't matter if I was doing a 2-hour pose or a 5-minute pose, I'd probably draw a little drawing like that to start with. Just checking my kind of very generic lens, feeling happy with it. So let's have some fun. Let's just get that trapezius in. Gonna curve through here. I am gonna roll the rib cage, and I'm gonna draw like the circle where the neck drops in, the pit of the neck. I'm gonna put a centre line in. There we are. I'm going to put in the pectoral muscle and then into the bust. So bust sitting on the breastplate, coming up through. I'll put the aureola in just to help direct. Gravity will pull this one over a touch. Leaning slightly to one side. We've got a little bit of that rib there, the end of that rib. So we should be seeing the end of it on the other side. That gives us our squash in here. We're going to have a stretch on this one. And then let's build the stomach. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. So I'm going to put this stomach in there. I want to feel that roundness in there. I wonder if I'm getting along on this torso. I'm going to come out on that hip. So I'm going to be a little bit hippy out where that leg bone is. I'm coming out from that leg bone all the way down into here at the moment. So I might be getting relaxed with my shapes now and getting a little bit stylized. Okay, and I'm going to come down into the groin. I'm just putting a little bit higher on my groin because it's starting to get long in it. I'm going to come around that groin up to the front of the Icarus crest and around that stomach shape. And we've got down the side of that hip, and then I'm showing that that leg bone. That's why it's wider here and here. And she's got a little bit of spacing there, and then we'll get this other leg in. Something like that. Alright, so let me just neaten up a bit for you so you get an idea of where I'm going. Take some of that out. Let's get some center lines in because it's fun. Kind of helps create a little bit of shape here. Let me just adjust that slightly. And then we're going to, apparently she's quite slight, so I come in. A bit cartoony. Coming around this nice stomach mass down into the groin, yeah? Just trying to feel the forms in there, feel the roundness. I'm going to pull this over slightly because this figure gets nice and 3/4. Let's come around there. Let's get these other legs in. Now somehow I seem to turn, not I, there's a turn in this leg. So the shin then comes quite forwards. So then we've got this nice calf we're going to draw in, about halfway down. We're going to end it, and we're going to keep in motion like that. And as we come down onto that foot, we're going to keep an ankle bone motion like that. And we're going to do this generic, I like to draw the top of, like the top arc of the foot. I'm going to keep this kind of inward, so this leg feels like it's bending like that, if that makes sense. You've got the big toe in there. Ankle bone, ankle bone. A little bit of weight on those muscles. Too many lines? Not sure. Don't know what's useful for you. Let me just draw in that knee bone. Fab. Let me get a little bit of shape on that leg, pulling in from underneath that knee, and then this other side coming down. Obviously you've got that front of that Icarus crest, it would come around here and there, so that you could, maybe we can get a bit more shape into that because of that. It's cool. Be a belly button up in here somewhere. Make sure I'm drawing the side of it. This knee wants to sit on the front in here, and we're going to try and come around that knee shape. Find that shin. Alright, get a little bit more shape on this leg muscle. Make sure I got the side wall here. Gonna okay, some of that. Now this is foreshortening away from me a bit, so I don't want to draw that too long, that muscle. Nice and tight as it, because it's on the tiptoe supposedly. And then we'll see what we can do in here. Because it's on the tiptoe, we're slightly 3/4. See if we can make this work. If there's a centre there, I want to do something like this. This wants to be pulling right away from me. So I'm going to change the original bit. I'm going to try and show some more of the back of the heel there. And raise it and get to the back. The big toe's in here. Just trying to show the toe on the top plane and the other toe's rolling back. Because this angle, the ankle bone is going to be, you're going to look over the top of that ankle bone. And I want to show a little bit more again of that heel. Just going to narrow that knee a bit. And we'll see if I can get some mark making to show the top of that foot, something like that. Awesome. Right, let's finish this off. Let's get the deltoid in. Get a little bit more length on there, roll that over. bicep, tricep in. Let's put that forearm in. So again, if you're used to my shapes now, I'm wider here. I've naturally drawn a kind of cone. And then it depends how you want to draw that hand. If you could break it down or up right now, I seem to break it down. I mean, because it's really quick to break the hand that way. The original seems to rock away somehow. So it's like you've got the roundness of the thumb area and then the thumb. And then you're seeing like the fingers, you're seeing like the finger there, here. Yeah, I would want to show the other side of the hand. Something like that. Shouldn't get too long in there. The other side, we're going to draw that deltoid in and get that pectoral muscle. Get that deltoid in. Bicep, tricep. I don't want to pull out too far because I want the weight, otherwise it's going to fall over. So I'm going to pull this arm in. So the weight stays in here. Get this other hand out here. Let's get this roundness for the thumb. I'm just going to suggest it's going to do something like that to this drawing, apparently. Just narrow in a bit there. Let's get that shape in there. I don't love the way I've drawn those shoulders. Bit scrappy, bit simplistic maybe. Sound effects. Sound effects always help you. Pit of the neck, got those ligaments coming down. I need to widen that neck maybe slightly. You'd have the collarbone sat in here. And let's just make sure I've got the head big enough. And on this drawing, we're going to put the eye sockets about halfway. Remember this little trick, if it helps, great. We're going to put the top of the eyebrows in. I'm just going to close the eyes. These are curved lines. Let's suggest the end of the nose, halfway between the eye and the chin. Halfway between the nose and the chin is the mouth, suggest underneath. Cross from the eyes and the nose. I'm going to put the ears in. We'll put in, I don't know, like a centre part, and like it's pulling back behind the ears. If you want to show a bit more hair, we can chuck out on one side. I'm not going to do any more than that. There is a character pose. Cool. Okay. We do 3 little character drawings. Done fairly quickly. I feel better warmed up. I hope you kind of enjoyed that. It's a little bit quicker today, I think, but we've done 3 little drawings, so that's kind of cool. And some hands. If you're watching that at any time, great. I hope it was useful. If you hashtag Cardiff Life Drawing, then I can have a look at it. It's nice to know that people have drawn it. Give us a thumbs up if you kind of liked those drawings. There are other drawing videos we've been doing over the last few weeks. Check them out. And I'll be posting up some more videos at some stage. And I'll see you all soon. Right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye. Keep drawing. Oops. Bye-bye.